agenda, and we'll start with public comment on agenda-related items. So if you're here this evening and you'd like to comment on something that's on the agenda tonight, it's the time to do so. I'll ask you to come forward, state your name and address for the record. So with that, public comment on agenda items is open. All right, seeing no one wishing to speak, we'll close public comment on agenda-related items, and we'll go right into item 2, Kirkpatrick Gallatin rezoning with preliminary master development plan.
Yes, the applicant is requesting to rezone 133 acres from the R40 zoning district and the no zone zoning district to R8 PRD, planned residential development, with approval of a preliminary master development plan for Kirkpatrick Gallatin. This includes property that was recently annexed into the city, and also includes property that has been in the city for a while. They're proposing 293 single-family units on 133 acres. This is a density of 2.19 units per acre. This would extend a portion of Ferguson Boulevard from Nichols Lane to connect into the future Banks development, which would connect all the way to Peach Valley. This roadway collector is on our comprehensive plan and has been a goal of the city for a while. This would also allow connections into Woods Crossing, which is a development currently under construction. Staff did have some comments about the layout overall of this development. We did believe that the areas adjacent to the larger estate and farm lots to the north and the west needed to be a little bit bigger to provide a better transition from those larger lots into this development. We thought that it was a little too tight in that area in particular, and along the alley fed product, which is the blue area on your screen. We did ask for some more information also on potential walking trails, a greenway extension that's supposed to go through this development, and making sure those things are connected throughout. There is a little bit of floodplain on this property up along Woods Ferry Road, which they have considered possibly being a public park in the future. And they did provide us with some architecture. Staff did have some concerns about the architecture as presented and did express that to the applicant. They have not identified materials or how that's going to be laid out at this time. And the applicant is here this evening.
All right, thanks, Jill. Do you have a representative for the applicant?
Good evening. My name is Josh Rowland. I'm with Kimley Horn, representing the developer. Thank you for the opportunity tonight to attend the work session and discuss a few details about our project with you. I've got a couple of slides that I put together. I'd like to just share a few high points if I can.
Yep, that'd be great.
Great. I wanted to start with kind of an overall exhibit of the area. Jillian mentioned some kind of critical infrastructure components that this project does help pull together. This graphic shows the banks at Lock 4. It shows the Woods Crossing development, as well as another annexation that is starting to work its way through the process with council right now. It's the Wheeler annexation. So those two are on kind of the north and east portion of the Kirkpatrick property. And so the collector road that starts from the roundabout there in the later phases of Banks of Lock 4 provides a connection up to the north to Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard. So that's a big piece. This is a pretty significant infrastructure project. It's a collector road. We're not fronting houses to it except for alleys. We do have a pretty sizable stream and bridge crossing that's a component of that. So that's something I wanted to point out just in terms of the overall context. On the next slide, we've started to work on some of the revisions that staff has talked about in the comments that we got. And so this is a kind of a work in progress, but just wanted to point out a couple other features as it relates specifically to this site. We have talked with the Parks and Rec Department, and there is some interest in the 10 acres along Woods Ferry as a park in the future. So that's the dark green on the far east side that's shown. The kind of the lime green line that runs east to west is an extension of the greenway that runs through the banks at Lock 4. We'll have a combination of greenway that's a part of the right-of-way and greenway that may use some of the TVA and other open space areas as a way to get from west to east. I think the goal is to bring it over to what may be that park in the future. We do have some of our own private amenities that we're planning as well. We've got a neighborhood pool and restroom facility kind of located centrally in some of our earlier phases. We have another pocket park further on the east side, and then other more passive open space with some mowed trails and other more passive recreation opportunities. As Jillian mentioned, 2.2 units to the acre overall. We've got 3 different lot sizes. Here we have a 40-foot wide alley product that's in the blue in the middle. We have a 42-foot wide single-family front-load garage product, which is the orange color, and then our larger lot, which is a 52-foot wide lot for a 40-foot product as well. In response to staff's comments about the architecture, we went back, spoke with Meritage Homes, who is the developer on the project. I've got a couple of slides of some enhanced elevations that we're planning to resubmit, so I wanted to share those. This is the larger product on the 52-foot wide lot. You can see a nice mix of hardy siding and stone or brick. We've got some contemporary, some traditional, and some farmhouse type elevation styles, a variety of color palettes, a variety of floor plans, all of which are 2-story on this larger lot. The next slide is our alley product. And again, it's a mix of brick and some other kind of orientations of the hardy board material. And then this is the 42-foot wide lot front load. We do have a ranch product there, which is a good offering for that 55-plus demographic that likes the main floor master, and then other 2-story options as well. So that's what I had to share tonight. Wanted to be here to answer questions as well, so we appreciate your time.
Thanks. Anybody have any questions or comments? I think the architecture that you showed is an improvement. I'll leave that to staff to get the full copies of that, and we'll talk about it probably more at the voting meeting, but definitely a step in the right direction. So, any comments on the lots that are adjacent to more of the farm type lots over there on making those bigger, or did you guys work?
I think we're open to trying to put our largest lot type there. Before we had some of the 42-foot wide lots as well as the 50s. I think we'd be willing to move some of the product around to better kind of suit that lower intensity as we reach to the edge. We did increase the buffer sizes along those edges. We are trying to incorporate some more passive green space. You can kind of see it there. Or at the end of one of those blocks internally, and then as kind of a break in those runs of lots trying to respond to that comment. So that is certainly something we're going to work on.
And you mentioned, I think, mowed trails. What's a mowed trail?
It's, we have a lot of this passive open space, and so if it's, the greenway, that green trail that we're showing would certainly be a paved trail that would meet the city's requirement for the greenway. But more passive open space, we have, over half this side is going to be undeveloped, and so, what we've seen work successful in the past is having the maintenance crews go and mow or at times mulch some of these trails so that they're able to be used for walking dogs and for just accessing the open space.
And you said there wasn't going to be. Sorry. You said there wasn't going to be any direct connection to the collector road. That was.
No driveways.
Okay.
No single-family lots with driveways.
Jillian, can you refresh my memory on what the density was for Banks of Lock 4? What the final density was?
2.4?
2.29, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, look, the good thing that this project does is it does get the Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard built eventually all the way down to Peach Valley Road, and that's a big piece to alleviating traffic concerns. Even with these additional homes, it's going to get that traffic up to 109 and out. So that's,
That was a major discussion item during our comp plan revision
yeah,
or
absolutely.
creation.
Yeah, I don't have any other comments on it other than, try to work with staff on the, the larger product adjacent to those other ones. And the other questions I had, looks like you've already addressed those on these updates. So anybody else have any feedback for Josh?
I don't.
All right, well, we'll see it back in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, item 3 is 432 East Main Street alternate landscape site plan.
Yes, this is a request from the applicant for approval of a alternative buffer yard plan. They would like to utilize this space as an office, and for doing a change of use site plan, this site does not meet the landscaping requirements for this property. They would like to supplement some additional landscaping in the rear of the property without having to remove too much pavement. I believe it's like a little bit deeper into the buffer yard, but there is an existing tree line. And then on the bottom of your screen, there is an existing fence that actually encroaches into their property that they would like to use in lieu of additional plantings. And then where their drive aisle encroaches onto their neighbor's property, they do not have a way to install landscaping at that location. So this would be primarily an alternative buffer yard plan. I believe they meet all other requirements.
Thanks, Jillian. Do you have a representative for the applicant?
Hi, I'm Steve Moore, RCH Properties, and basically the reason for this is we're ready to get started with something there on that beautiful property, and the existing conditions there show all the way around it's fairly protected from the neighbors with fences along the back, and along that back on the right-hand side or up to the top of your screen, there's about a 5-foot grassy area, 5 to 6 feet, and along the back, it's about an 8-foot. So getting a large, existing 15-foot tree in there is going to be difficult. So we wanted to make sure we could work with staff and get something that would fit.
I mean, I'm familiar with the property over there. It's, like Jillian said, it's pretty well screened around already. So, are you guys good with the ask on the alternate buffer yard?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
This is very similar to what we just went through, was it 2 months ago, with the adjacent site?
Yep.
I don't have any issues with it.
I think this one's pretty straightforward. Anybody else have any questions, comments? No? All right, the landscape guy says it's good. He doesn't have a comment, so. All right, we'll see you back in a couple weeks. Item 4 is Maple Street Center facade and landscaping site plan.
Good evening, Commissioners. Brad Hickman, Staff Planner. The owner and applicant request approval of an amended site plan for the Maple Street Center on a 13.51 acre lot, Zone CG, Commercial General, located south of Maple Street and east of Hancock Street. Mostly, they're wanting to upgrade just in this area along Hancock Street. If I can get my pointer, there we go. And there's another view of it there in the box. They provided some very nice pictures illustrating what they want to do. Remove some of the taller bushes for some shorter bushes and some of the trees that are blocking some of the storefronts that have grown up over the years. This is a further illustration of the trees they want to remove and the red dots, as well as replace some of those bushes. We have the elevations, the existing elevations, and the proposed, and it's a little better here with the color picture of what they're proposing as far as new elevations.
All right, thanks. Do you have a representative for the applicant?
Good evening, Trent Sullivan, Lines Inc., here to represent the property owner.
Okay.
Did a pretty good job of explaining what we're trying to do there.
Yeah, no, I think you did. It's, I told Jillian earlier today, and I was driving by this property a couple of weeks ago going to the post office and made the comment to my wife that it looked like it was due for a facelift, and then here it is. So I don't have any feedback. I think the landscape removal makes sense, and it's going to be a big improvement to that corner. So I didn't really have anything to add to it.
I agree. I think it looks great.
Anybody else have any comments or feedback? All right, well, we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Seems like a pretty straightforward one. Okay. Item 5 is 515 Coles Ferry Road, detached building accessory structure.
Yes, the applicant is approving, or requesting approval of an alternative architecture for an accessory structure on their property. This is located on Coles Ferry Road. It's a metal garage building. This is very similar to others we have approved in this area, including in this same subdivision. And so this is the next step for that approval prior to building permits. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We have a representative for the applicant or the applicant.
Wes Parker.
Thanks. Do you have anything else to add? I mean, this is pretty straightforward. We've seen a bunch of these over there, so.
Just here to answer a question.
I don't
Try
think I have any. Hopefully, we're going to get this process resolved in our zoning update, so we don't have to keep bringing up a planning commission for every building that wants to get built. But yeah, I don't have any. This is routine. So I do have a question. Is there a way that this can be on the consent agenda when these don't have issues? Or do we have to vote on them individually?
I guess, yeah, I mean, it's an alternative, so that's typically we put those on regular agenda.
I'm just thinking more for these accessory structures, just so, you know, if it's on the consent agenda, it's a pretty good indication that it's non-controversial and, you know, just trying to save folks a trip back to a meeting to sit through the whole thing, just, so.
Even if it's on the consent agenda, staff still requests for someone to be there.
That's true.
And we would put it usually at the beginning of the
Okay.
agenda.
We did it at the beginning of the agenda.
Yeah.
I don't see any problems with this one. So, all right, we'll see you back in a couple weeks. Thanks. Item 6, Kensington Downs Phase 7 amended preliminary master development plan and final master development plan.
Other direction.
Good evening, Commissioners. Kimberly Atlee, Planning Staff. We have Kensington Downs, the large development, 70 acres. It's zoned R8 PRD, total of 286 lots, 200 residential, 86 townhomes. Tonight, we're talking about the amended preliminary master plan development and the final master plan development for Phase 7. It's the 43 townhomes, approximately 10 acres. Staff is recommending on here considering parallel parking similar to Phase 1 to help out on some of the parking. So there's going to be 43 homes. The applicant is here for any questions.
All right, thank you. You have a representative for the applicant.
Luke Talley with CSDG. She stated we are
working with staff to address the comments and happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
Are you okay with their comment about the parallel spaces?
Yeah, we said we'd see where we can make that work and try and, not affect street trees, that sort of thing. We already have about 10 extra spaces to the south to add to the parking for the residents as sort of a guest parking area. So we're going to see what we can do for that.
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my comment on this one as well, Luke, is, you've got those 10 parking spaces, but they're all the way on the one side. Even, looks like, is there a reason you couldn't add some additional parking even behind those alley load product over there? Is there something back there that stops you from adding some more parking spaces up there?
Sorry.
Oh, no, good. My big concern is you've got cul-de-sacs in here that are obviously for the fire access, and with these townhome projects, people are parking on the street, and I can just about guarantee you that cul-de-sac's gonna become the local parking lot. And that's something we'd like to try to avoid. So if you can find some way to squeeze some more parking in,
Yeah.
it looks like you should have room to find some spots.
Yeah, I think along some of the main, the wider sections of road where the alleys aren't, I think there's a lot of grade transition where the alleys
Okay.
are. So
Gotcha.
we'll try and find some on the main roads.
Yeah, other than that, that was the only comment I had. Anybody else have anything? Yep. Yes. All right, well, looks pretty straightforward. We'll see you back in a couple weeks. All right, thanks. And without objection, we're going to skip down to item 10 on the agenda, which is the Gallatin Department of Electricity 109 North Substation project. Got someone from our
Thank you.
electric
Jim
department.
Carpenter, staff planner. The owner and applicant request approval of an FMDP for Gallatin Department of Electricity substation on a 2.65 acre lot, zone MU mixed use zone district, located at 1465 West Albert Gallatin Avenue. So this is a FMDP due to the zoning. Substations are pretty much allowed kind of wherever they need to be.
Yep.
And we had a plat for this in, I believe, December of last year. Staff had mostly minor comments on this item, other than the applicant is showing a kind of a brick wall here along Albert Gallatin, and then on the east side, we just want to see architecture for that with resubmittal, but other than that, we have minor comments.
All right, sounds good. And the applicant?
Good evening, Brandon Heston. I'm with the Gallatin Department of Electricity. Thank you, Julie.
Okay. I think the only question I really have is how fast can you build this?
That's the question of the day for everybody. I don't think the biggest question not how quick we can build it, but it's how quick TVA can get the transmission line to us. That'll be the slowdown for it. The material has been ordered.
Okay.
We're expecting to go to construction starting in 2026, ending at the second quarter of 2027, and then it's fingers crossed, hoping TVA can deliver at a timeline hopefully as close to that as possible.
Okay, that sounds good. I guess so you guys have a brick wall going around?
It's designed to be a split face block wall.
Okay.
I have submitted all the requests from staff to our consultant engineers, and they'll be providing a drawing for that. The front and east side would be the split face block, and then it would be standard chain link fencing on the back.
Got it.
And that's pretty well screened in by the surrounding landscapes.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, this is kind of down in that real low spot
Correct.
over
yes,
there, so there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
No, sir, you're gonna have a bird's eye view into it. Coulter has a vested interest in the design of the landscaping there. There was a comment about landscaping in the purchase agreement with Coulter. We provided them additional funding, and they will be doing the landscaping and submitting a landscaping design to planning.
Okay.
They had an interest in keeping a uniform look
yeah.
across West Albert Gallatin there, and also shielding the substation as much as could possibly be.
Just answered my second question, so.
Well, good.
I'm good.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, now we'll jump back up to item 7, the crossings at Hidden Creek Phase 1 Final Master Development Plan.
All right. The owner applicant requests approval of a final master development plan for the crossings at Hidden Creek, Phase 1, consisting of 99 residential lots on 20 plus minus acres zoned MRO, multiple residential and office, located east of Big Station Camp and north of 386. Staff has mostly minor comments on this item. We have requested final architecture for all facades and requested that they show HVAC locations. And then with that, I believe engineering has also requested raised intersections with this as well, which will be a common thread throughout many of the FMDPs and PMDPs this month. One other comment that I want to make, this is a comment mainly for Planning Commission. We made a comment on this plan. We made it on most of the master development plans for this month, reflecting changes to the building code. So City Council approved changes. They adopted the 2024 building code with some amendments. And one of those amendments required 12 feet of building separation instead of 10, which is what the code currently requires. So we, planning staff has asked to see that as 6 foot side yards instead of 5, which pretty much all of these show. With that, staff is working through the timeline of when that will be enforced or required, but I kind of wanted to get that in front of you now and in front of our applicants now to be a little bit more proactive instead of waiting until this came through for building permits and finding out at that time. So we have a preliminary comment on this. I have it on the banks as well. And I just kind of wanted to put that out front. But outside of that, we have pretty minor comments on this item.
Thanks, Jim. Do we have a representative for the applicant?
Landon Allison with Kimley Horn, representing Castle Rock Communities. Yeah, I think Jim touched on it. Most of the stuff is minor comments. We're working with staff, with the main one being, the side yard separations. We're just asking to be in compliance with our approved PMDP, which we designed at the 5 foot side yards and 10 foot separations between housing locations. So I think that's the one thing that we're asking for today to talk through. Other than that, I think most everything is fairly minor, and happy to take any other questions.
Okay. I guess, Jim, you may be able to shed a little more light on it, or Jillian, because I know we talked earlier today a little bit about when this was going to come into effect. I've had some conversations with codes about, when something's already got an approved plan with a vested right with a layout, when they're going to enforce it. So I think we needed some more clarity from the codes department. Because my understanding is something like this, it wouldn't apply to in the future if it was already through the process. But
So
yeah,
that is what staff is working through, I believe, with the attorney's office and with codes.
okay.
There's a question about whether the vesting is with the master development plan or with the building permit application. And so that is our question. The side yards, the side yard can go either way, but if it's required for building separation with permits, we would rather just know that on the front end than find out in 6 months or a year or whenever it comes time.
Okay.
And again, that is a preliminary comment. We're not sure who it's going to apply to yet, and at what point in the development process. Likely and historically, it's been if you get vesting at the PMDP stage, you can likely move forward with that. The only question that staff had really with that is whether or not a safety regulation has that same applicability, or if it pertains to a fire code type thing, does that change things? And we're looking at state statutes and things to verify what will apply in that case. So,
Do we think we'll have an answer on that by the time we meet again?
yes.
Okay. I think for the sake of the planning commission and the applicants, we need to.
Yeah, we need to have that plan anyway in place because the applicability of the new building code is going to be starting up here in November. So we're going to need to know what projects to apply that to right off the bat. So.
Yeah. So I didn't have any other comments on this particular this project, but really just the side yard separation would be the one we just want clarity on for everybody's sake. So, but otherwise, this is pretty consistent with what you've seen before.
The current plan is fully consistent with the PMDP.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. Anybody else have questions, feedback? All right, we'll see you back in a couple weeks, and we'll try to have that answer for you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Item 8 is Clearview Heights, number 4, lots 16 and 17.
Yes, the applicant is requesting approval of a duplex located south of DeMoss. This is pretty similar to other duplex developments that we've seen in this part of town, including on DeMoss Street. They did not provide architecture with their application, but we have requested that with the resubmittal, and they would not be able to proceed without that architecture. Otherwise, everything is consistent with the R6 zoning.
Okay. Great. And do we have a representative for the applicant?
Bruce Rainey, representing the applicant on this. I've been looking for the architectural plans. We'll have them to the staff as soon as possible. I think if there's any questions, but we'll take care of the architecture.
Okay. Yeah, I think the architecture would be the only question. This is pretty consistent with what we've seen in that area, so I don't think staff had any concerns with the architecture. So, yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. We'll see you back a couple weeks with some architecture.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Item 9, Banks at Lock 4, Phases 1 and 2, Final Master Development Plan.
The owner and applicant request approval of a final master development plan for the Banks at Lot 4 phases 1 and 2, consisting of 170 residential lots on 72.51 acres zoned R8 PRD, medium density residential, planned residential development. This is the overall Banks plan. So phase 1A, 1B, and 2 are what we're looking at in this final master development plan. Staff had mostly minor comments on this item. Again, just asking for full architecture and HVAC locations as well. And then staff has also requested more information about the amenity center and whether that we need architecture and this to be shown on its own individual lot with easements and such. If it isn't submitted with the resubmittal, we would want to see that in a separate FMDP. But outside of that, I think the biggest thing, I don't know if we want to talk about it here or not, is road widths. Do we want to talk about that for the alleys?
You're referring to fire codes comment on that? Yeah, I believe our fire and codes had some comments about the widths of the alleys. I believe what they're showing is 16 or 17 feet of pavement with maybe a foot ribbon curb on both sides. I believe fire is wanting them to be 20 feet for a drivable surface to meet the fire code. That's their comment, and
What widths do you typically see on those? I mean, 18 to 20?
that's usually, I mean, I would say that our alleys are about 18 feet of pavement with a foot ribbon curb on both sides is typically what we have on there. But yeah, that's, like I said, what it's.
We have a representative for the applicant. Well, he's coming up just to clarify that. So fire code asking for a total of 20 feet, so an 18-foot pavement plus the foot on each side of the the ribbon? So you get a total, 20-foot width curb to curb.
Correct. It's my understanding that that didn't meet their standards. That the asphalt needed to be 20 feet of unobstructed width.
Brad Snyder, CSDG. I guess talking about the alley widths, I know in the past it's usually been 16 with 1 foot of ribbon curb on each side. I might give building codes fire guy the call and just talk it through with him and see. I think with public roads all the way around it, I would think that'd be enough to access, every house, every lot. But we'll work with fire to make sure we hit whatever standards we need to with that.
I guess my question is, did codes or fire have any comments during the PMDP process?
Not sure if they did or not.
That's my question.
Do we know what those widths were planned for at the PMDP stage, though, or was that stated on the plan?
I think it was consistent. I think what they're showing now is consistent with what the PMDP was.
I guess the question might be, I wonder if it's, if it's different for a public alley versus a private alley. But
That's what I was wondering too, if it's just a question of maybe
I-
they're thinking they see every road and look at every street.
Yeah, I think some clarification with fire codes would get you what you need on that, but otherwise, everything is consistent with the preliminary, so I don't have any questions with it.
Yeah, the only other thing with the amenity center, we talked that through. We're going to pull that out of this and make that its own FMDP.
Okay.
All right. Oh, last question I had is, at what phase does that last piece of Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard get built?
So that'll be phase 3.
Okay.
Yeah, phase 3 will connect all the way down to Peach Valley there.
Gotcha.
A question too, will the fire access road that extends out at the end of the roadway, will that connect to something, Peach Valley Road at this time?
Yeah. Yep.
So there will be a fire access road from the other end to be able to give
from the
2
end of
points in and out?
phase 2, it'll kind of follow the main road already, how it is. We'll provide a fire access drive for that all the way to Peach Valley.
That'll essentially be where the proposed road is going to go. Okay. Makes sense.
But for now, it'll just be gravel until you get to phase 3, correct?
Correct.
Questions, comments?
Sir.
All right, we'll see you back in a couple weeks. Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
All right, we already did item 10, so that gets us to item 11, West Side Market of Greensboro Village Phase 1, Final Master Development Plan.
Yes, this is for the west side market of Greensboro Village. This is where the proposed target is going. They now have a name for the development. This is currently going through City Council for final zoning and its PMDP. And if it is approved next week, following its normal schedule, then this would be before you in 2 weeks. So it is dependent on that. This is just for the first phase of this development. The out parcels and the future portion of this development would have to come back and have their own proposals for future development. Everything is consistent with the PMDP. They do have more defined landscaping plans, and their architecture is all consistent with their previous plans. There were no changes. They are asking for an alternative sign with this FMDP. They are asking for a 19-foot tall sign on Nashville Pike. Our code only allows up to 12 feet. And so they would like to be able to be more visible from Nashville Pike. There is a good amount of trees and floodplain adjacent between Target and the roadway. And they will have a number of tenants. This is a pretty large development. So that is for your consideration with this FMDP. They are requesting this alternative sign. Otherwise, the plan overall is consistent with their PMDP.
Thanks, Jill. And do you have a representative for the applicant?
My name is Kent Knuckles. I'm with Development Management Group. representing the property owner and the developer Phase 1. We've gone through all of the review comments. We really don't have any issues with, I think there's one or two that we wanted to kind of follow back up with staff on with regard to the greenway path and that kind of thing. But all the other ones are no big deal to us. So we'll be able to comply with those.
Where's the monument sign that you're asking to be 19 feet?
It's the one at the, there at the driveway at Nashville Pike.
Okay.
And a couple of reasons why we need that. One is, and of course, you have the benefit of seeing all of Phase 2 over there, but at some point, Phase 2 will be developed similarly to this. We'll have a lot of retail tenants and stuff in it. We'll have no visibility from Nashville Pike. So in addition to the vegetation and trees along the streams and stuff on the property there in that, I guess, southwest corner, we want to try and improve the amount of signs we can put on Nashville Pike, mainly to benefit the people in Phase 2.
My question is that sign outside the setback?
Excuse me?
Is that sign outside of the proposed setback for the property?
It'll be in compliance with sign setbacks.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the sign variation, especially that side of Nashville Pike is not, there's not a lot of signs. We've really got this. The next thing really is, I think, the fire hall up there.
My understanding is that there have been similar variances granted for Lowe's and Publix and others. This one seems to make, some pretty good logic as far as all the future development, Phase 2.
I tend to agree. I don't have any problems with the sign variance for this location or this project, so.
Will a similar sign go along Greenlee Boulevard?
There'll actually be 2 additional ground signs, and they will both be in compliance. They'll be 12 feet, about 120 square feet. So this is the only sign we're asking for variation on.
Cool.
I don't see a problem with that. Anybody else? Anybody?
No.
All right, yeah. I think it's good. Everything else is consistent, so looking forward to seeing it come to town.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll see you back in a couple weeks. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, number 12 is West Side Market at Greensboro Village preliminary plat.
The owner and applicant requests approval of a preliminary plat for West Side Market of Greensboro Village consisting of 6 lots on 56.35 acres zoned MRO PUD, multiple residential and office plan unit development district located north of Nashville Pike and east of Greenlee Boulevard. This is the PMDP of the FMDP we were just discussing, and staff had minor comments around labeling of contours and like a utility PUD along the north side of the property.
All right, thanks. Don't go too far, Ken. You had another one.
Oh, I totally forgot about number 12. I'm happy to answer any questions. We've got comments on the plat. They were really very minor. So we don't see any issue in being able to comply with those. So if anybody has any questions about the plat.
I've got no questions on the plat. Staff looks at them way harder than I do. So anybody?
Some of the things as far as easements and documenting cross-access easements and things will all be done as part of the final plat once we have all that worked out to a further degree.
This is pretty straightforward. Anybody have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Thanks for sticking around.
Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. All right. Item 13, Laurelwood Park preliminary plat.
Okay, great. This is Laurelwood Park. It's located in South Drive Lane and east of Lorraine Drive. It's zoned MRO, approximately 26 acres. There's 102 lots, there's 98 townhomes, 4 single-family homes. There are going to be 2 phases to this, and it's consistent with the final master plan. There are a few minor changes that need to be fixed, but it's consistent.
Okay, wonderful. Do we have a representative for the applicant?
Good evening, Dylan Tarr with Tar Group, representing this project. We didn't have any issues with any of the comments, so happy to answer any questions if y'all have any.
I don't. I mean, it's consistent with what's already been approved. So seems like a pretty straightforward item. So always like when people come back and ask for what they already had approved.
I do too.
Yeah, makes it much easier. Any questions, concerns? All right, looks like pretty straightforward, and we'll see you back in a couple weeks. Thanks. Item 14 is 614th North Council Avenue rezoning.
The owner and applicant request the Planning Commission recommend approval to rezone .28 acres from CG Commercial General District to R6 High Density Residential District located north of Pace Street and west of North Council Avenue. There, he wants to place 2 of these long skinnies on the property. The ultimate goal is to rezone, subdivide, and then build both of these here. We have some architecture, some cementitious siding. The current one has, as you can see here, has stone at the bottom. And there to the left of it, as my understanding, is to build an identical one after it's subdivided.
Okay, thanks. A representative for the applicant.
My name is James Shipman, so how can I help you? Sorry.
No, I think this is a pretty straightforward request. So, Jillian, maybe you could help explain to folks this CS zoning that's on this residential area over there. Does anybody know the history of how that came to be, or?
Yeah, that zoning for commercial was done a number of years ago. In that block in particular, the zoning doesn't match the uses. It never went commercial. So all those homes are not zoned to match what use is actually taking place there. So it's not uncommon for us to get calls about that block in particular, about insurance and people when they want to buy a house or if they want to replace an old house or fill something in on a vacant lot. So it's definitely something we need to look at. But right now, the only way to do residential on this block, new residential, is to either have an existing house there that's consistently been used as residential or rezone the property. And so their request for R6, there's R6 very close to this property. Most of the residential in this general neighborhood is R6 zoning, which is generally consistent with the size of these lots anyway.
Can the picture of the existing house that y'all had up, where is that? Is that adjacent to this?
That's the northern one, right?
Northern property?
Yeah, one's already built.
Okay.
Yeah. I think my understanding was it's replaced a house that was there. And
Yeah, so the house that was there was condemned or falling apart. And one of them, that one was built as a non-conforming.
Mm-hmm.
That was built. The plats were already split by Bruce Rainey.
Got it.
And we've been busy. We just haven't gotten back to try to rezone that other lot. We do have over half of the street has signed a petition with me.
Right.
So, and for the most part, I understand why part of it's GC, but that patch and a lot of areas back in that area are going to pretty much stay residential.
It makes sense for it to be residential, and I think like Jillian said, it's something we need to look at going forward. But I don't have any opposition to changing this to an R6 zoning. So, anybody have any concerns with doing that?
No.
No. All right. Yeah, we'll make it pretty easy on you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Item 15 is Long Hollow Pike subdivision rezoning with preliminary master development plan.
Yes, you first saw a version of this plan, I believe, in June, and they did defer this item after that work session and reworked it a little bit and added a little bit of property. The property is now 131 acres, and it does extend towards St. Blaise Road, St. Blaise Road. And they are proposing 297 units, which is a density of 2.25 units per acre. They had to provide some additional architecture. I believe they have a builder involved now, and then they did have some improved visuals. They do still have the collector connection or the one that will act like a collector from Long Hollow Pike to the future Bison Trail connection. They have indicated that the majority of those homes will be side-fed garages, or rear-fed garages, to kind of limit backing out onto that street. They've also made those lots a little bit wider. I believe they're 75 feet wide. There were some continued discussions about the Bison Trail extension. This property abuts city-owned property, which then abuts the Crossings development. So the Crossings development is building their portion of the road, and then there is no improvement right now for the city property. And so for us, it's important to create that connection from this development into to Big Station Camp. They do have an emergency connection up to St. Blaise now that they've added the property to the east, but that is not a full access. And the applicant is here this evening to talk about their proposed changes.
All right, thanks. We have a representative for the applicant.
Bobby Bell, Los Design.
Marty Cook, Spencer Fain, Bone McAllister.
Jillian did a great job just kind of doing a refresher on the project. So last time we were here, several comments from you all, access, Collector Road. So we deferred, took the item off, and we went back with the developer, and they have since acquired the property that touches, it feeds out to St. Blaise. We then met with the planning staff and engineering staff to talk through how they wanted us to address the access concerns to the property. Originally, we were showing a connection through the park property to the St. Blaise Estates. And so we were going back and forth with, would you rather the connection be out on St. Blaise or the Bison Trail extension, which is where we ended up our current PMDP. So we have a fire access out to St. Blaise, and then the secondary access would be the continuation through the city property to the Bison Trail that's going on at the crossings right now. A couple other comments that we received. The main road that comes from Long Hollow to Bison Trail, we had some comments about concerns on driveways, people backing out on that road. So all of the lots that are shown in the beige and red are the lots that would have driveway access off of that main road. The beige lots are standard lots, 53 foot. And so we're proposing a side entry courtyard type home, so cars wouldn't necessarily have to back out, and you also wouldn't see driveways as you just drove along the road. On the south side of that main road where the red lots are, those are the lots that have driveways onto the public road, but are also adjacent to the county properties on the, I guess that's the west side, south on that plan you're looking at right there. Another comment we received was having some sort of transition between the larger county lots into our development. So we have proposed those red lots to be 75-foot wide estate lots, which would also, the ones that are on the main collector road through there would be side or rear access loaded as well. We added 13 acres. We didn't increase our unit count, so we're actually a little less on our density number. And the other comment, the last comment that we had, Mr. Pereira, I believe you gave it to us, we originally had shown 40 or 53-foot wide lots with 10-foot side setbacks. It's a PRD, so we have the 5-foot side setbacks, and then per the new code, we've already added that extra foot. So we have it shown with 6-foot side setbacks, which would give you a 41-foot wide building footprint.
The other thing, I guess, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Are you done?
No, that's pretty much it, yeah.
The other thing I've noticed is that you removed the lots along Long Hollow Pike.
Correct.
So appreciate that. And I guess my understanding, I know there was some concerns about, I guess, driveways. You've reduced the amount that was touching it, but this road is not on the major thoroughfare plan, correct? As a collector or anything? Okay.
You talking about the one that runs north and south?
Yes.
Correct. It's not on the major thoroughfare plan. There was no contemplation of roadways mostly through this this area, except for Bison Trail and then that little loop road that kind of takes you through the crossings at Hidden Creek.
Okay.
Those are the only collector roads that were shown.
That being said, I have no concerns with how y'all have it drawn.
It's vastly improved, I will tell you that.
I appreciate the third emergency access as well.
Yeah.
It is a lot of improvements.
Yeah, a lot of improvements. My only other question is the stub you have to the, I guess that would be the west. Is there already existing right-of-way there that stubs to Sugar Tree? Or?
So there is.
It's county? Okay. Is it 50 feet or 40 feet?
I would say 50 if I had to guess. I would have to double check though.
Okay.
At this point in time, that is undeveloped, though, so
Correct.
it's not a connection that would automatically be able to be made if that stub gets paved.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. So, but just so I make sure I understand correctly, but so you guys are proposing to build the road through the city-owned property to get the connection all the way through?
Correct.
Okay.
And which would tie to the PMDP we've already approved in that portion of, is that the extension of Hidden Creek?
Yeah, the crossings at Hidden Creek.
Hot Crossing, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the FMDPs. The FMDP for that road's already been approved.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, that alleviates my concern about the access through the property. So.
That's huge from a connectivity standpoint for that area. I guess my question related to the right-of-way leading to Sugar Tree, same question for the ultimate extension of Bison Trail. But there's 50 foot of right-of-way that's shown there. Is that county? That would lead from the dead end of Bison Trail to St. Blaise?
So that right-of-way that I have shown on there that extends all the way up to St. Blaise, I believe it's 74 foot. That's what the Bison Trail is. But that property that it runs through is about 200 feet wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it is in the city.
That is in the city.
That is.
Is that shown just for reference?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not an actual right-of-way
Correct.
Gotcha.
there. It just is
Understood.
proposed for where the roadway would extend through.
And then this is in the suburban character area. That's 2 to 5 units per acre, and they're at 2.25. Okay.
I think it looks really good.
I think you guys have addressed the concerns I expressed earlier in it, so I'm okay with it. Any other feedback for these folks? All right. Sounds like we'll see you back in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Y'all have a great night.
Thank you. All right, and that gets us all the way down to other business and announcements. Does anybody have any other business for this evening?
I just need to remind the chair I will not be present for the 23rd meeting or the work session following
Okay,
business trip.
gotcha.
Okay.
CAPA is November 6th through 8, right? Is that correct?
APA, 6 through 8.
November 6th through the 8th.
Okay.
Yes.
Where's it at this year?
Kingsport.
Nice drive.
Did you find out, are they going to do some remote versions of that as well?
I don't think they've said.
Both?
Yeah, I don't think they've said.
We discussed that before, that during the pandemic, they did remote broadcasting of that so that people unable to attend in person could do it. And I thought they were going to try to continue to do that in addition to the in-person.
I can ask that question.
If you will, find out.
Great. All right. Anybody have anything else?